that we're having. So I really want to just say thank you before we even start the webinar. And as I'm letting people in right now, Leo, just monitor the chat. I'm actually going to switch you to host, Leo, so you'll have host access right now. So I'm going to do this right now. So I'm going to replace Spotlight just a moment. Replace Spotlight with Leo, and I'm also going to give you host. You are the host of the webinar. Goodbye. Oh, I hate losing my superpowers, but you are worthy of the superpowers. Okay. I'm really thankful that you're here. Thank you, Leo. Without further ado, I just want to remind you, this is part of a very special partnership with Forest Hills High School, where we are helping students, part of a parent engagement initiative. And this is really just a special moment that we're all having together. So thank you, Leo. Thank you for doing this. And just remember, this is really a long awaited time where we get to help parents and students get involved. Okay, thank you, Leo. Without further ado, go take over. And then you'll stop at 8 o'clock. Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Francis, for that introduction. Without further ado, I will just begin. My name is Leo Glasgow. I'm currently a Cornell student, double majoring in government and China and Asia Pacific studies with the potential minor in economics. I'm very much looking forward to going over the Common App with all of you and diving into my essays as well. More people might join in. That is all right. I will let them in. I have set the chat to host only, so anything you write, I will receive and answer out loud. Feel free to put questions into the chat at any point. What I will do is I will immediately share my screen and show the Common App application. So if you are unaware, the Common App is the method through which you will be applying to all or most of your schools. I just very quickly, anyone at all, if you could please put a message in the chat just as a confirmation that you see the screen I'm sharing, anything at all. I just want to make sure that people are seeing what I'm sharing. Great, wonderful. So as you can see, this is the Common App. This is exactly what you'll see if you press create account in the Common App. So I have gone one step ahead. I created an account. All that you have to do is enter email address, create a password, put your first and last name, phone number, date of birth, state whether or not you're living in Europe, describe how you're applying. So if you are currently, let's say, a senior, right, applying to schools, hoping to get in next year, you would click this first option here. So applying as a first-year student and plan to start in college 2022 or 2023. Review the following, check the box. So I have finished all these steps and we end up on this screen. I've used kind of like a fake Elias name here, Lenny. This screen, I promise to all of you, is exactly what you will see once you press that button, create account, after you finish all of these steps. This is the Common App. Once again, this is the primary method through which you will be applying to all of your schools. Only certain schools do not use the Common App. Right off the top of my head, I can think of Georgetown, MIT, and then some military schools. So like a Naval Academy, for example, would not use the Common App. But for the most part, all of the schools that you are going to be applying to, all of the colleges are on the Common App. If you are unsure as to whether or not a school is on the Common App, you can simply find it through college search. So all I did here is I pressed this college search button right on the Common App. Let's, for example, enter Cornell University. So great, Cornell University, Ithaca, New York. If you are interested in applying to a school, all you have to do is add college. Now, do not worry about potentially sending in an application. Nothing is permanent until you fully write an essay, send them your details, and send an application. So just by pressing add college right over here, I'm not doing anything. Once I have added a college, you can see this green check mark here. So I've added Cornell University. I press on the My Colleges button up here, and lo and behold, there we find Cornell University. Once again, very few schools do not use the Common App. If a school does not use the Common App, you will know. So it will be made very clear to you. But just in case, you can verify that right here through the college search on the Common App. So let's take a look at what is going on here. If you are unfamiliar with the college application process, it basically consists of two essays. So there's the personal statement and the supplemental essay. Now, if we go onto the Common App and press the Common App button, so that's this button right here. We have a few buttons: Dashboard, My Colleges, Common App, College Search, and Financial Aid. If we press the Common App button on the Common App, we see here Profile, Family, Education, Testing Activities, and Writing. Once you fill out all of your information, your address, contact details, demographics, what you'll find here is a specific slot called Writing. Now, your personal statement is right here on the Common App. So Writing, Common App, Writing, this is your personal statement. Personal statement is the essay that you will be sending to every single school you are applying to through the Common App. So basically all of your schools. I personally did not apply to any schools outside of the Common App. All of the colleges you are applying to, for the most part, once again, I'm reiterating this, are going to be on the Common App. So here we have several different options for your personal statement. I'm just going to read out all of the essay prompts. These are the essay prompts for college applications. These are the personal statement essay prompts for the 2022 to 2023 application year. So this is for students who intend on entering college in fall of 2023. So first option here, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Number two, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? Three, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? Four, reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose track of all time. What does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? Or share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. I'm focusing specifically here on this last prompt. So share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one that you've already. At the end of the day, the personal statement, we can forget about all of these questions. The personal statement is essentially your story. Now, many people have many different ways in which they write their personal statement. It ranges from all sorts of things to writing an essay about a sandwich to writing an essay about a formula. Later on in this webinar, I will share my own personal statement and my supplemental essay. So both essays that basically constituted my college application. But all you have to know about the personal statement is that it is your story. This is who you are. This is one essay that is being shared with every single school that you are applying to through the Common App. So even if you are applying to 7 different schools, all 7 will receive the same personal essay. This is not something that you are adjusting depending on the school you are applying to. What this essentially means is that you do not mention schools in your personal statement. I have a great question in the chat here. It says, what if the school you are applying to is not on the Common App? So if a school, one that comes to mind is Georgetown, for example. If a school like Georgetown is not on the Common App, you will have to find out their own personal program through which you will apply to the school. So they will have their own program. You can find this easily online or on the school website, but you will figure out just through Googling what method, what program that school uses. Just to show that this is true, we can search up Georgetown application portal right here on Google, clicking on the first link, Georgetown University application. So click here to begin your first year application. Great, you'll find all the information, Georgetown application, and you do it right here through the school website. Again, this is not something common. For the most part, schools will be using the Common App. Great. Back to the personal statement prompts here. Once again, just a reiteration of what I said already. Personal statement, one essay for all of your schools. Now, after your personal statement, you will have your supplemental essay. Let me then go to my colleges. Once again, if you want to add a college on the Common App, simply press college search right over here. Search up the name of the school. So let's, for example, do over here. Great, adding the school. You will see that it is added automatically to your colleges. Once you have added the school to your list on the Common App, simply press onto the school and you'll see very few things here. So first and foremost are the questions, general questions. These are questions related to your status, right? Who are you? Where are you from? Do you have a military family? How are your academics? This is also where you can attach additional information, contacts, activities. Through the Common App, you should also be able to connect to your recommender. Now, every single school, and now I'm talking about high schools, every single high school has their own format for recommenders. My school, my high school, LaGuardia High School, personally used a program called Naviance. Again, in order to figure out how to add a recommender to the Common App, please talk to your guidance counselors or some kind of school faculty. They will direct you with how to figure out recommender information. Now, I know that the early decision cycle usually finishes up completely by December. So by December, those who have applied early decision already know everything. But in general, it is extremely important to get all of the information about recommenders down as soon as possible if you do not have that already. Recommenders are extremely important. I cannot tell all of you the amount of times that perfectly brilliant, perfectly capable students have messed up their college application only because they did not organize properly when it came to their recommender. So again, please figure out your recommender situation with your high school. I cannot direct you to the intricacies relating to your own high school. That is the only thing that your high school will actually help you with when it comes to the Common App. Otherwise, all we see here are questions, academics. Again, for Cornell, for example. So Cornell has several different schools. Let's say you are applying to the School of Engineering, right? Clicking here. Once you're over there, you can click on anticipated majors. There we go. So 3 words you would use to describe Cornell Engineering. This is not something that I personally did. I am in the College of Arts and Sciences. So here, click a major, let's say China and Asia Pacific Studies. You see different questions pertaining to the school you are applying to. Once we click down here, review and submit Common App, we see writing supplement. So this is the second supplementary essay that I was talking about earlier. For those of you that have joined later on in the meeting, let me just do a quick summary. There are 2 essays within the college application process. There's your personal statement. This is one essay that you are sending to all of the schools you are applying to, the same essay, and then the supplemental essay. So a supplemental essay, there may be more than one. A supplemental essay is an essay specific to a school. So here, underneath Cornell University, within the Common App, we see the writing supplement. And we have a specific question for Cornell Arts and Sciences. Again, Cornell is specific because you apply specifically to a certain college within Cornell. Relating to this, I have a great question in the chat. It says, can you add more than one school within Cornell? If you are applying to Cornell University, unfortunately, you do have to apply to one school, so one college within Cornell. Now, if you get into Cornell, you are perfectly capable of then transferring schools if that is something that you think is applicable to you. I think the intention for Cornell is just to narrow down applicants. We don't want, too many students coming from too many different directions, but yes, just to answer that question in the chat, if you're applying to Cornell, you're applying to one school, just one school within Cornell. I cannot speak for every college, but usually this is the case for most colleges. Again, I don't want to confuse everyone. but colleges may have different schools within them. For most colleges, you have to kind of apply to one school. Again, this isn't necessarily true for every college. Some are more liberal in their mindset. Maybe you don't have to declare a major, you don't have to declare a school. But for Cornell specifically, you do have to apply to one specific school. Earlier in this questionnaire, I chose that I wanted to apply to specifically the College of Arts and Sciences. We see that here under questions. So academics, right? I clicked arts and sciences. That specifically influenced my writing supplement. So you see the supplement here specifically talks about the College of Arts and Sciences. If I were to click engineering, I would then get a different writing supplement. And this is typically the case for most schools. So let's take a look at Harvard, for example. Same kind of format. We see questions here, right? Academics, activities, it's all pretty much the same. Writing, they ask questions, maybe you're in a veterans family, and then questions by Harvard University. So here, questions do not pertain necessarily to a specific college. Again, everything is pretty straightforward on the Common App. The main thing that you have to know is that there's a personal statement. This is one essay that you're sending to all of your schools, and that seen if you can click on the Common App button. So Common App, writing, personal essay, right? One essay, one of these prompts. Personal statement can be summarized to a summary of your life. It's just who you are. Again, I will be sharing both of my essays later in this webinar. I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on the same page. I know that the college application is, oh, I see here that my screen is frozen for some participants. Could someone just kindly confirm, put a message in the chat if you see writing, Common App, personal statement, like if you can see my screen as it is now. Is my screen frozen? Someone please put a comment in the chat. Great, so participants can see it. Kindly let me know if there are any issues in the future. Great. One question I have here in the chat, if you apply for early action, you cannot apply for regular decision, right? Okay, so the good thing about early action and early decision is it's essentially letting you know whether or not the school is within your expectations. Typically, the tradition in most schools is that they will admit a higher percentage of applicants through early decision or through early actions. This is not something Cornell specific, but again, typically within early decision and early action, schools admit a higher percentage of students. This is not the case for every college, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to apply through early action and early decision to get in. Sometimes analyzing statistics can be very, very helpful. I went to LaGuardia High School. I know that for me, I specifically asked my guidance counselor for statistics on LaGuardia. So statistically, LaGuardia students who got into Cornell likely applied through early decision. This is something that I figured out through speaking to my guidance counselor. Again, not the case for every college, not the case for every high school. This is a great question. Essentially, if you are not let in through early action or early decision, that is letting you know that the college will not then accept you for regular decision. Hopefully that's clear. Hopefully that answers the question. Another question here, how will we know the application deadline to the college? Great, so let's go back to my colleges here. Cornell University, review and submit Common App. The college application deadline depends sometimes not so much on the college, more so on deadlines of early decision or regular decision. So let's search up here, early decision deadline 2022. So here, November 15th, 2022. This is the early decision deadline. Not always the case for every school. We can say Cornell early decision application deadline. Again, I am demonstrating here that information is perfectly accessible online. So please be specific for your school. Cornell has a November 1st early decision deadline this year. Again, it's November 10th. That means early decision is finished through with Cornell University. Not the case for every single school. Sometimes there may be even slight fluctuations depending on the college within Cornell. So I wouldn't even necessarily take this November 1st deadline at face value. For example, we can search up Cornell Arts and Sciences early decision deadline, still November 1st. But the point is, you can find this information online, easily accessible. Main thing that you have to know is that there are these different series of applications. So early decision, early action, regular decision. Yes, this is not information on the Common App. You have to figure out what it is specific to the school. So if I would search it, let's say Harvard early action application deadline, I see here online that it is also November 1st. And this is restrictive early action, which differs from early decision. All right here. So please, I want to emphasize that there is a lot of stress behind college applications. I know that this is kind of an eye roll to hear, but really treat this as something fun. This is a fun experience of writing essays, right? Applying to colleges. The difficult part comes later when it comes to deciding what school you're going to go to, figuring out financial aid resources. At this point in the college application process, you just have to be clear about these 2 points: the fact that there is a personal statement and the fact that there is a supplemental essay statement. I see here a question. Rutgers University says November 1st, so does that mean I can't apply? Let me be clear. November 1st relates to the deadline for early applications. So again, if you know for sure that you really badly want to apply to a certain school, right? If you, let's say, have some kind of family connection to a school, or you really, really love a certain campus, deadlines will be early in the year. So around November, sometimes late October. Now, I am aware this is a Zoom meeting happening on November 10th. So chances are, if you are just finding out about application cycles, you may not have applied to schools. Do not worry, there is a regular application, a regular decision deadline. So regular decision typically happens in January. Again, this is information easily accessible online. Let's see, for example, Cornell regular decision deadline, right? So the regular decision deadline for Cornell is January 2nd. Does this mean that you have to send your essay in on January 2nd, send in your application on January 2nd? No. It's always highly advisable to finish up your college applications a little bit ahead of the deadline. I know personally of horror stories where students waited for too long, the internet shut down, that leads to, so please just make sure that you are aware of application deadlines. This is specific to certain schools. Yes, once again, there's a early application, and then there is a regular application. Please do not stress if you missed the early application deadlines. Again, November, October. Regular decision application deadlines is typically around January. I see another question in the chat here. At what grade do you have to apply for college? Wonderful question. So not everyone is at the same stage. The senior year is when you are applying to colleges. So because I applied to Cornell University early decision, by December of my senior year, I already knew that I would go to Cornell. And this is the big kind of case in point with early decision. If you are applying to early decision to a school, you must go to the school once you are accepted. Now, of course, there are caveats. There are certain situations in which there are exceptions, but by applying to a school early decision, you are essentially signing a legal contract that is saying you you have to go to the school if you are accepted. For regular decision, this is not the case. For regular decision, you apply by January, you receive results later in the year, and then you make a decision based on what schools let you in, what schools didn't let you in. Wonderful question. So typically, I know that there are some senior families here, but again, we have students and parents from all different stages of high school. Typically, what is the preferred kind of sequencing is to write your essays, have your work kind of started, preferably done, but at least started in the summer before senior year, and then gradually apply and finish hopefully by October. Now, for those of you seniors that are nowhere near this stage, please don't stress out. Again, application deadlines for regular decision is January. That is typically how it's sequenced. I see a question here in the chat. Can we ask where you went to college and your stats? Again, I know people are flooding into this Zoom room as I speak. Just as kind of another introduction, my name's Leo Glasgow. I'm currently a student at Cornell University, double majoring in government and China and Asia Pacific studies with a minor in potentially econ. Yes, currently a student at Cornell University. So this whole cycle, this college application cycle, I have went through just a year ago. Believe me, I understand the nervousness and stress that comes with this. Most important thing is to understand that there's a personal statement, a supplemental statement. Please be aware of your college deadlines. So deadlines is something that we've mentioned many times throughout this meeting. It's particularly important. Do not miss the deadline. So regular decision deadlines, typically January. I see a great question in the chat here. So what happens if you get a better financial aid package from a school, but you got early decision from a different school? One important thing, I may or may not have emphasized this, you can only apply early decision to one school. Early action and early decision are two different kinds of applications, but early decision, you may only apply to one school. This is where kind of caveats begin to appear with the early decision application. Even if you get better financial aid offers, you must, again, I'm emphasizing you must go to a school if you are accepted through early decision. By applying to a school through early decision, you are essentially signing a legal contract, right? That essentially you're saying that you will go to the school if you are applying early decision. For regular decision, this isn't a problem. This is why many students who have a lot of passion for a school, really do love a school, still choose to apply regular decision, because then they will be able to compare their financial aid packages and they will be able to choose throughout a list. I highly encourage all of you to do more specified research, try and see whether or not early decision is right for you. At this point, on November 10th, if you are still questioning whether or not early decision is right, I would recommend following the regular decision application cycle unless you are absolutely positive that you will attend the school if you get in. Wonderful questions in the chat here. If I miss your question, I'm going down through this list. There are many questions. Please kindly just reattach that question there. I will get back to it. How many colleges do you suggest we apply for on the Common App? Now, let's be realistic here. Every single college that you apply to has an application fee. I would not personally recommend applying to more than 12 schools, and even 12 is already a significant amount of schools. Really 10, sometimes even 8, 9, 10 schools is kind of the preferable amount. Please gauge the appropriate amount based off of who you are as a student, what kind of application you're forming. A number like 5 is definitely small. A lot also depends on how you organize your schools. Some of you may have heard this, some of you may not have heard this, but typically the way that schools are organized when it comes to college applications is in target schools, reach schools, and safety schools, right? So a safety school is typically a school with a higher rate of acceptance. All of this comes down to the rate of acceptance. You may apply to 15 schools, right? But if all 15 schools have a significantly minuscule rate of acceptance, then you're doing yourself no favor, right? You have to divide your schools appropriately. Make sure to have target schools, reach schools, safety schools. So these are schools that may have an extremely small rate of acceptance, a reasonable rate of acceptance, and then an extremely reasonable rate of acceptance to the point where you may almost guarantee that you will get into the school. Again, make sure to divide into these three categories: target, reach, and safety. This is something that's emphasized and re-emphasized within college applications. See a question here: how do I find a college or university that is best for me? This is a wonderful question that I will address in 5 minutes or so when I begin to read my own personal college essay. So I will get to that wonderful question. How do I find a college or university that's best for me? Question here: when would you connect a Naviance account and the Common App account? So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Naviance is a system of organization that a lot of schools use for recommenders. Each school has very different deadlines, very different approaches to Naviance. Please contact school administration, guidance counselors within a school. Now, I went to a public school. I know the public school system. It may be very, very difficult to reach a guidance counselor. Really do not delay this. I know that it is November 10th, but before we know it, it's going to be December. By December, everyone's gone. January 2nd, as all of you saw, is already the deadline. You basically have to get everything organized right now. So do not delay if you are unclear as to what is going on with recommenders. If you are unclear with how to organize your recommenders, how to set up recommenders on the Common App, immediately send emails to the guidance department or some kind of supervisors within your school. If you do not receive a response, I kid you not, by the end of, within a week, immediately just visit them within the school. So physically speak to people. You have to make sure that you know how to organize your recommenders. Again, I wish I could help more when it comes to every single school has a completely different approach when it comes to recommendations, different deadlines, different systems. Good luck with that. See here, the comment says, my child is a sophomore. When do you suggest we create a Common App account? Can we do it now to familiarize us for the future? Now, the Common App, by the way, what I have open here right now is a fake Common App account. I literally just created this less than an hour ago for this meeting. Sure, feel free to create a Common App account. Personally, I will say there's not too much to find here, as you can see. If you want to navigate the process, I highly encourage it. Sophomore year, great place to start. Let's get into that question earlier of how do we find the college that is best for me. So this parent says that their child is a sophomore. Begin with first simply looking up colleges. So random colleges. Look for specific majors if you have an area of interest. I know that one thing that's very, very difficult for students is deciding, what am I going to do? I understand students are 17, 16, 15, so on. It's impossible to decide, what they're going to do 60 years from high school, but try to narrow down some kind of area of focus. Some students may know that they may not excel in STEM subjects. Maybe they're great in humanities, right? Maybe they prefer history class to algebra, right? Try to find an area of focus and begin to look at majors within that focus. So, for example, Cornell Arts and Sciences majors. All I did was I searched up a specific school, right? So the Cornell College of Arts and Sciences, again, Cornell is divided within different colleges. So if you want to apply to Cornell Engineering, you have to apply to the engineering school within Cornell. Once you are on the school's website, you will get a detailed list of every single major within the school. If you click on a major, so this is relevant to me, China and Asia Pacific Studies, you'll see requirements, courses, outcomes, you'll see areas of employment. law, business, etc. You'll see where the graduates work. So here we see, associate, Princeton Asia Fellow. You see graduate fields pursued. Again, you will find a lot of detailed information about majors on school websites. If you are in the position of a sophomore, it's a great chance to just begin diving into these websites, taking a look at the majors, narrowing down your interest and figuring out from there. But to answer the question more deeply, this earlier question of how do I find a college that is best for me, all I will do is simply begin reading my college essay. So again, for those of you that joined later in the meeting, college essays are organized into two things. There's your personal statement, and then there are your supplemental essays. I say essays because there may be more than one. Personal statement is one essay that you are sending to all of your schools. So in my personal statement, I didn't mention Cornell because my personal statement was going to be received by all of the colleges that I applied to. Supplemental essays are essays that are specific to your school. So Cornell had a specific supplemental essay question for me. Sometimes things are kind of better understood when you simply see them. Oh, before I begin, let me show you the prompt to which I was responding to. So here under writing, under the Common App, we see different prompts for the personal statement. I will say that these don't really change too much from year to year. I chose this question specifically. So discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth in yourself or others. Let me quickly just open up my college essays. In the meantime, I will just quickly summarize and say that the personal statement is essentially your life story. This is a summary of who you are, what you have done, what you value in life. Let me share my screen. Can someone please give me a confirmation in the chat that you can see the screen I'm sharing? There's like a highlighted question here. Just want to make sure that everyone can see it. Without further ado, let's begin. So this is my question. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. I wrote, I am a bonanza of strength. I remembered the interesting wording that Miss Carabas, my middle school Spanish teacher, had put into a recommendation letter. What would Miss Carabas think of me now? Flashback. Insane first day of high school. Everyone worried about adjusting, but I only think of one thing, and it's exacerbated during Spanish class. I cannot focus because I know that somewhere in my high school, there's a Mandarin class without me. I wanted to learn Mandarin for so long, daily summer practicing, lucky to sit next to Phoenix Chen in 8th grade every morning learning more Mandarin. Funnily, the words ustedes and nosotros on the blackboard were juxtaposing our conversations. I was never able to sign up for Mandarin in high school because it was the very first year that it was being offered and students were selected randomly. All of this repeating, another lifetime in Spanish thinking about Mandarin, I had to do something. Flash forward. What would Miss Carabas think of me now? No matter what she thought, her words were empowering me on my way to the New York City Chinese speech contest. Leo Glasgow, giving a speech in Mandarin, competing with high school students from all over the city. I was doing completely fine, absolutely fantastic until I walked into that auditorium. Only later did I really look at the competing students and their gigantic families that concerned me. Here I was at the front door with mom, the two of us walking in alone, and there they were with their support armies. Of course, the one black boy that walks in is the one without a father there to cheer for him. You already speak Russian fluently, I thought to myself. Shouldn't you be intimidating? Will she come? Will Ms. Han really come to watch me present my speech? I was only a first-year Mandarin student in high school, yet Ms. Han had encouraged me to do this. Months of walking to her office during my lunch period, adding bit by bit to my characters until I could print a paper that I proudly carried outside my folder. Somehow that proud Leo was hidden when he saw that Ms. Han was not yet there. You've got this, my mom said. Don't pay attention to competition. I had to line up with all the contestants now, trying to remember my mother's words after being separated from her. After the first student had spoken, I realized I was carrying a printer error. At least, that's what those characters looked like to me at this point in the competition. I had to tune everyone else out, not listen to their pronunciation or tones. I'd be too scared. What I did not tune out was the sound of the door opening. There she was, Miss Han Xueyang. The awkward silence that only a writer like Tolstoy could encapsulate was nothing to me now. The contestants had their armies and I had mine. I don't remember much of what I said. My memory of the speech is rather what I saw. Miss Han and my mother smiling at me. Runner up only to a contestant who already spoke Mandarin at home. Miss Han words are still so crisp to me. Your second place is first. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just imagine my two-person army supporting me through and through. More importantly, I've already experienced what it's like to be that army for others. Through big endeavors like being LaGuardia's senior class president and the first ever student co-chair of the school leadership team, but especially through personal connections like community tutoring, I understand that my purpose is to be that supporting energy for others through my work. Miss Carabas would be proud for sure. Now I have a lot to say, but let me quickly dive into my supplemental essay. Again, that was what I just read was my personal statement, one essay that I sent to every single school. A supplemental essay is an essay that is specific to the college you are applying to. Again, Cornell Arts and Sciences, this was my question here. Students in arts and sciences embrace the opportunity to delve into multifaceted academic interests, embodying 21st century terms as were Cornell's any person, any study founding vision. Tell us about the areas of study you are excited to explore and specifically why you wish to pursue them in our college. When you read these questions, it's always such a head twister. Ultimately, I can condense it down to two things. Personal statement is an essay about your life, about you. And the supplemental essay is an essay about why our school, why us. You can basically not read the supplemental essay, still write a pretty good essay. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do, but what I'm saying is it essentially condenses down to why our school, why did you choose us? So this is what I wrote. I'm no stranger to being a stranger. Much of my formative years were spent visiting my mother's side of the family in Russia. Being Black, though, and being pointed or stared at while walking down the street, I was prone to being called Little Obama. In a way, I altered this comparison into becoming a dream of pursuing international politics. It was strange then that despite dreaming of going into politics, something was just not clicking with me when it came to the expected majors of political science or international relations during my college application process. Thinking about global politics and my passions made me realize that my political success would mean taking a different approach. The China and Asia Pacific Studies major at the Cornell College of Arts and Sciences is the answer to this different approach. I grew up hearing my family's stories of the Cold War from the other side of the conflict and took the knowledge with me wherever I went. Nearly 30 years later, Russia is no more of an ally than it ever was, and tensions continue to rise between China and the United States. This situation concerns me greatly. This is an essay from 2021, by the way. What I don't want for our country is a repeat of the Cold War or worse. Looking towards the future, it is especially important for the youth like myself, who are soon to enter politics, to have a deep understanding of China and strive towards cooperation between US and the powerful Eastern nation. Being a 17-year-old in 2021 means having learned about domestic divisiveness from decades ago, but witnessing precisely the same kind of discord today on both the domestic and international stage. Our country cannot achieve balance internally until we do our best to work with other powers, even through differences in ideology. There is no other Asia Pacific or China studies major in the world that is a better fit for what I want to do. I became hooked on the CAPS major because of the very specific focus on Chinese language, politics, and culture, but especially because of the CAPS initiative to prepare the future American leaders of US-China relations and negotiation. I want to be one of these leaders. I distinctly remember the day when I received a very special email from Cornell. Noticing arts and sciences in the subject line, I fully expected to receive an article link or, if lucky, an alumni note. Oh boy, was I lucky. Not only was it a note from an alum, it was from a former CAPS major, Amanda Williams. Since then, having communicated with Ms. Williams through both email and Zoom calls, my mind has been flooded with thoughts about CAPS-connected internships at the Beijing US Embassy or government seminars through CAPS at Cornell in Washington. Ms. Williams' willingness to answer any academic questions and continue helping me through the application process, given my being first-generation American, has meant everything. Despite the both of us being biracial Americans with the same undergraduate interests, my connection to Amanda Williams echoes with the theme of openness to inquiry that I've repeatedly felt from Cornell. Ms. Williams reminded me of Professor Elizabeth Brundage from my pre-college international human rights course. Speaking to Professor Brundage during every office hour and never feeling criticized or ridiculed for my questions, which sometimes went beyond international human rights, made me feel and understand the reasons behind Cornell's excellent research affiliation. I want to continue to build great relationships with professors and even work with them in my college experience. I'm no stranger to being a stranger, but I know that I would never feel like one at Cornell. My contribution to the College of Arts and Sciences simply stated, be passion. Passion for my major, passion for growth, and a passion for learning. Now, I want to remind everyone in this meeting, I was you just a year ago, just 2 years ago, just 3 years ago. I was literally sitting in my room with my mother next to me in Kweller Prep webinars, watching these students, these successful students who got into colleges, listening to them and almost falling backward. I thought, please, this is ridiculous, right? I can't write essays like this. I can't submit applications like this. At the end of the day, never forget every single person has some kind of a unique story. Sometimes certain students say, oh, I have nothing, but there is nothing interesting. Do not be modest. Really look within yourself, look within your family, look within your background. They are looking for you. Who are you? You have to really bring yourself out in these essays. So, supplemental essay. This is the essay that is specific to schools. Main idea, you really have to drive in the point that you want to go to this school. You cannot leave any doubt in their mind that you want to go to the school. I always, and this is for any essay, by the way, whether it's college application or college essays, really anything, always start with a good book at the start. I am no stranger to being a stranger. I even put it in bold. Looking back, I would have even highlighted it. There are no rules, right? People, I asked around, someone told me not to bold, someone told me to bold. I did what I wanted to do for my essay, and I bolded this first statement because I brought it back at the very end where I once again said, I am no stranger to being a stranger. Think about the college application people. Think about these administrators who are going through thousands of essays, right? You want to be the one essay that makes them stop. This was my goal. This is like a big piece of advice that I'm giving to anyone who's watching this meeting, whether you're a parent, a student, or both. Be the essay that makes them stop. Be the essay that makes them, think about you later in the night. You want to be something that's unique. One of the big sentences here within my supplemental essay is this right here. There is no other Asia Pacific or China Studies major in the world that is a better fit for what I want to do. I did not want them to have, again, any doubt about my desire, my real desire to go to Cornell. Now, I'm currently a double major. I study government and China and Asia Pacific studies. Just because you are writing an essay about one major doesn't mean that you have to stick to this field. You have to work in it for the rest of your college career. In college, students transfer their major all the time. I know a friend here that within 3 months of being at Cornell has already considered and reconsidered their major 5 times. Colleges are aware of this. The point is to show your passions. And we do that through weaving, what I call weaving. Weaving is when you take a fact about yourself that would appear, let's say, on a resume, and you secretly kind of intertwine it into your essay. For example, let's see here in my personal statement, right? I'm writing about this competition, right? This Mandarin competition. First of all, even though I'm writing about the competition, I'm actually telling the colleges that, I'm taking a Mandarin course and I cared enough to go to this competition. I don't tell the colleges that I read books. That's annoying, but I say that the awkward waiting silence is comparable to a novel of Tolstoy, right? It's not explicitly stating information, it's putting it in eloquently and seamlessly within your essay. I didn't outwardly say that I was the senior class president, but what I've said is that I felt what it's like to show support for others. And then I kind of, quickly said, I felt that support while being awarded senior class president. I see a wonderful comment in the chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Again, I really want to emphasize, you cannot be modest in this essay. Time and time again, I have spoken to students who, really doubted themselves in the college application process, where there was no reason for them to doubt themselves. you at this point, if I'm speaking to seniors, at this point it's done, right? You're not gonna intern somewhere where you haven't, you're not gonna apply to somewhere, this is it, right? You are where you are, bring out what's there. If you are a waitress in a diner, mention it, mention that's your identity, that's who you are, really drive through the point, who you are, what it is that you're doing. I have a great question in the chat here. It says, when will the results of the application come out? So this depends, once again, on the type of application that you do. For early decision, early action, I, for example, applied early decision to Cornell. By December 13th, I was done. I knew that I would go to Cornell, that's it. For regular decision, changes every single year. We can just literally Google regular decision announcement 2023. So it's looking like early April, somewhere around early April. This changes depending on the school. Expect announcements somewhere around early April. Again, big thing that you should get out of this meeting is that there are 2 essays. Things like recommendations, applications, the Common App, all of that is pretty straightforward. I showed everyone the Common App. As you can see here, this is not something extremely complicated. You can go through, sit with a parent, FERPA questions, writing supplement. Let's just quickly taking a look at these questions. You see that it's not something crazy, right? They ask about your context, family, background, activities. You can upload your resume, always upload a resume. Anything optional within the college application process is not optional. It's a good piece of advice. But essentially, big piece of information, 2 essays, right? Personal statement, supplemental essay statement. Personal statement is just an essay about your life. I've seen all sorts of different essays. And by the way, don't think that you have to, hold on to this document that I'm showing you here right now. There are not hundreds, thousands of successful college essays online. Any single school, you can search it up, it will be there. Please, good piece of advice. I do not give advice that I myself did not follow within the college application process. Please go online, find successful college application essays. They are there, they're numerous. I have some questions in the chat here. It says, I cannot find the cost for undergraduate for a pre-med program. Would you help to find it? So it is difficult for me to find the cost for a certain college because costs change depending on a family's income. A lot of times you will find not the cost of a school, but tuition calculators for certain schools. So let's see, whatever came up, right? This is the first school that came up. Tuition calculator, University of Arizona. It's typically good when you get it from the actual school website. So this is actually from the school, University of Arizona. Fill out the questions, put some tax forms. It's really quite detailed and annoying, and you will receive an amount. I will say for schools, the amount that you receive in the tuition calculator is typically less than the amount that you will actually pay once you're within a school. You can negotiate this with different schools once you are in. Sometimes it helps some families. Sometimes what they'll do, they'll send the school the amount that they received in the tuition calculator and say, hey, this amount is different from what I'm paying. I would kind of like to adjust, and they discuss and then they sort it out. But again, tuition calculators online, I highly encourage to actually reach out to these schools as well. Every school has a gigantic financial aid department. You can give a call, you can write an email. They will answer absolutely any questions when it comes to tuition. I see here another question. Is early action the same as early decision? No, they're not the same. So early action, just because you get into a school for early action does not necessarily mean that you are forced to go to the school. Early decision is like a legal, it's a binding contract, 100%. If you get into the school, you have to go. Only in very, very particular situations have I heard of students getting for early decision and then not end up going. This is extremely rare. Early decision is a legal binding contract. For early action, some early action. And Regular decision, you are able to choose between different schools on your list. Again, I'm emphasizing the point, successful college essays are online. Please read them. Please go through them. This is what I did. Please, when you write your essays, read them out loud. Do not be modest. I mean, I began my essay with, I am a bonanza of strength. I had a big sentence here. There is no other Asia Pacific or China studies major in the world that is a better fit for what I want to do. You almost have to sound hyperbolic. Like it's almost too extreme. Would it be possible for you to send your essays as an example? So what I read here, these were my college application essays. I just want to be very clear. What I read, this first thing was my personal statement, whereas the other essay was my supplemental essay. Let me quickly stop share and then reshare again. So what I read here, these were my college application essays. Again, feel free. I will not, for sake of time, I will not read through them again. Feel free to record, take pictures. Again, I'm emphasizing that there are many college essays online. Please be creative with this. I mean, I included a flashback, right, and a flash forward. You have full reins when it comes to, I'm going to scroll down now. You have full reins when it comes to these essays. Be creative, be unique, really emphasize that you want to go to these schools. Be the essay that stands out. Weave in information about yourself, right? Small little sentences that give an insight as to who you are. You have full command, full control of this essay. Find out the method that is best for you when it comes to writing. For 3 weeks, I attempted to write a college essay. Nothing came to my head. One day I set the alarm to 4:30 in the morning. I woke up and I typed both essays immediately, right? Just find out what method works for you. Maybe you're a writer at night, maybe you're a writer in the morning. Figure out the situation and please just be yourself. Do not be modest. Adjust your essay to the school. Please adjust your essay to the school. Earlier, we had this question, how do we find out if the school is a fit for you? It's really about tuning in to, I guess, the frequency of the school. Read everything you can about the essay. Now, supplemental essays, big mistake. A lot of people do not take supplemental essays as seriously as the personal statement. Colleges can tell when you copy the same essays for supplementals over and over and over again. Please tune your essay specifically to the school. You saw how personal I got. You saw how I mentioned specific information to Cornell, specific internships, right? Specific programs, Cornell in Washington, internship at the Beijing US Embassy, things that are specific to Cornell. Now, final question here I see here, isn't there a maximum number of words for essays? Yes, and that makes the college application process difficult because you have to fit in this information and make it concise. I was writing and rewriting, make every single word count. Every single word has to count. It says, can you apply for more than one school as early action? Yes, you may. Again, depends on the school. It is currently 7:59. If there are any final questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will very quickly answer them. Otherwise, I do hope this meeting was very insightful to you. I hope that you have taken something away from it. I thank everyone for joining. I will answer 2 more or 3 more questions. So can you run recommenders by me again? Recommenders specific to your school, please reach out to your school guidance immediately. Like it's November, it seems like it's, it seems like you have time, you don't have time. December, everyone's lazy, holidays, no one wants to do anything, no one wants to help you. Please reach out to the school immediately if you don't have your recommender down. It says, did you apply regular decision at any school? I did not apply regular decision because by December, I already knew everything. If you are applying early decision, don't apply regular until January because I didn't want to pay the fees, right? So I waited for December, depending on what I wanted to hear. How do we apply for financial aid? How do we know if we're eligible? This is something extremely specific to the school. This is not usually tied to the Common App so much as it is tied to the school. Please go onto school websites, contact school administration. Cornell has 7 schools. How do you decide which school is best for you and how easy it is to get into each one? So this will be my final question here. Wonderful question. It's not only applicable to Cornell, it's really applicable to any college. Again, the question is, Cornell has 7 schools. How do you decide which school is best for you and how easy it is to get into each one? First of all, admission rates. Look at the statistics. Please look at the statistics. And sometimes apps like Naviance or your school administrators will even have statistics that are specific for your high school. Once you know the stats, please look into the classes, the courses, the type of classes. There is an engineering major within arts and sciences at Cornell, but there is an engineering college at Cornell as well. Figure out the nuances, the differences between the programs. Do a lot of research. Think about applying to college in the 1980s. What did they have? They had nothing. They had to visit the schools. But now we have YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. All the information is online. Please, please, please do as much personal research as you can. I really hope that this information helped someone, everyone. My final thing that I'm going to say, I know this is like an eye roll. I really was you just a year ago, literally at Kweller webinars, not knowing what I was doing, very nervous about the college applications. Everyone goes through this. You are capable of writing a beautiful essay. You're capable of getting into the schools you want. Please, please, please do the most that you can to secure wonderful college application. With that, finishing off my meeting, have great night, everyone, and very successful college applications. This goes for seniors, juniors, sophomores, anyone who may be watching. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you very much.